one. Hello everybody out there. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know we did. The weather was beautiful, and man, it's a beautiful autumn late afternoon today. I love this time of year. So we left off, we're starting a new series called Mindful, or I had Mindfulness last time, in which my 16-year-old daughter pointed out that I spelled mindfulness wrong. So I shortened it to something I knew how to spell. So Mindful is our new series. And I want to talk about what that mindful means. I got my little 8-year-old here. He's kind of assisting me here. In case I forget to say something, you can kind of jump in and teach, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so last time we were talking about the life of a privateer, the life of a racer. What separates us? What causes some of us to struggle with things that come natural to others? And I talked last time about you buying a brand new motocross bike in Denver, Colorado, and it being mapped for that altitude in Colorado. You went in and bought this bike in a shop, and they mapped the air fuel mixture as well as the timing for that area. But all of a sudden now you moved out to California to sea level, and you're gonna train in the wintertime to get ready for the Supercross series as well as the outdoors. But your bike isn't running right. It's just not responding right. And we're gonna relate this to us as people. So what happens is your ECM was mapped. Most of you guys know this, but for the people out there that this can help you in different parts of your life, you plug a computer in. There's several different ways, but you plug a computer in, you plug it into your bike, and you program it. You put a program into it that makes the adjustments for where you're going to be racing and riding, so it runs to the best it can be. Well, as human beings, we're the same way. We have programming in us, and this programming happens when we're a kid. It happens from the time we're born until adulthood, early adulthood, 16 to 18. I don't know the exact, but we're being programmed, right? Because we're under our parents. We live with our parents. We're influenced by our parents. We're influenced by other people. We're influenced by maybe coaches. If you're an athlete, we're influenced by teachers. All those influences program this mapping, your ECM module. But in our world as a human, that would be our subconscious mind. You have two parts to your mind: your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. Okay, all your programming and all your mapping happens in your subconscious mind. It's the majority of your mind. The conscious mind is actually a small part of your mind, and that's where your reasoning and your will and your choices come from. The subconscious mind doesn't know time. It just knows the program it has. It doesn't know whether it's the past or the present. It doesn't make right or wrong decisions. That all happens up here. That all happens on your laptop that you're programming your motocross bike with. You're putting in the new mapping. That happens right there. Whatever you give your subconscious mind, that's just what it gets. It doesn't know right from wrong. It doesn't know past from present. So if you got this new motocross bike 3 years ago in Denver, Colorado, and you moved to sea level 3 years later, this mapping doesn't care, nor does it know where you're currently at. It's going to respond in the way that it was programmed. Well, as people, we're the same way. So where do we get our mapping from? And I'm just going to run down through. We get our mapping from our childhood. We get our mapping from our influences. Maybe when you were a kid, your dad left. Maybe when you were a kid, your mom left. Maybe your parents were still married. Maybe you had encouraging parents. Maybe you had confident coaches or mentors that were programming you. Maybe you had very believing influences. all of these influence when you're young are programming you and you don't even know it. That's what creates your mapping. Well, if your mom left at an early age, you may have trust issues. You may have problems with women. You may not know it, but it's built into your mapping. The same if it was your dad. You may have trust issues with men. You may have some hurt, some emotional pain, and trauma from them things, and that's all built into your mapping. But on the other side of it, you may have had very encouraging mentors or influences in life, and that all programs into your mapping too. Right or wrong, it's not about how, what you did or you didn't have. I want to make that clear, because if you live by that mentality, then you live by the victim mentality, and you can never be victorious when you're in that victim mentality. If your dad left, your mom left, your parents stayed together, they didn't stay together, that if you use that, you will never be victorious, and you will always struggle in life. Because what happens is all of these things that happened when you were young, that's how you got your programming. Just like the motorcycle shop sits down and programs your dirt bike according to where you're going to be. That same mapping happens from the time through your early childhood up until you're 16, 17, getting ready to leave on your own. Your whole life has been dictated and programmed through experiences and through what you were around, who you were around, the influence you were around, how you were taught. So that all of those things, all of that mapping, what it does, it actually turns into your reality as an adult and how you handle things. So, the person that had parents that just spoke total confidence to them all the time, that rider is going to go out there, that privateer or that rider is going to go out there and be very confident. The person that had the programming that didn't speak confidence into them is going to have a different experience. Things are going to take them a little longer. They're going to have to work hard at overcoming things that the next person doesn't have to work as hard at. So I hope that kind of makes sense, and all that's in your subconscious mind. Okay, so that kind of seems like doom and gloom, right? Kind of seems like, well, if I had all these bad experiences and this one didn't, that seems kind of negative, right? It kind of seems like self-sabotage. The point I'm trying to make here is not allowing it to be self-sabotage, changing your life. Are you happy where you at? Are you happy in your marriage? Are you happy how you're writing? Are you happy how you get up every day and go through life? This is what I'm talking about. This is how you change. This is how you become a better writer. This is how you reach your goals, and you make your goals obtainable. It all happens up here. It all happens what's inside that helmet. It all happens between your ears. So you have all these things, this mapping that's wrong. You have this bike that you moved to sea level and it's not running right. Okay, well, as a person, how do we change then? We change, and here's the beautiful part of it. We change through our conscious mind. Our conscious mind right now, as you're watching this video, you're thinking. That's happening in your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind, those are things that just become natural to you. Think about, I told you last time, when you first started riding, you were having to learn how to let the clutch out, right? Or you had to reach down and fold your Kickstarter out and then start it and then kind of reach down and flip it back in. Now it becomes natural to you, right? That's because it's been programmed into your subconscious mind. You don't even think about it. Just like you don't think about breathing. Just like you don't think about letting the clutch out. Just like you don't think about, a lot of things. It becomes natural because it's a part of your subconscious. You just do it. So with that said, if you have habits and traits, whether it's you roll up to the gate and you always fight off confidence issues, or maybe you're going through the whoops and you have commitment issues, then that's where you need to begin to remap your mind. You need to begin to renew your thinking. You need to begin to renew your mind. You need to become a new you. You need to become the best you. And you do that through what you're thinking about. Right now you're watching this video, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, this guy's boring? This sucks? How's that positive? Okay? So that's where it happens. So when you roll up to the gate and you have that confidence, that you need to speak out loud, you need to speak truth. And you need to keep doing it over and over and over and conquer that fear and conquer those things. And that habit, what that habit will begin to do is that habit will begin to feed your mapping. It will begin to remap things that become natural to you. Those bad habits you have that you've done that nobody told you about, that you've done for 10 years, that comes natural to you. The only way that you can break that and rewire that is by consciously thinking about it, and being mindful. The whole key here is being mindful. That's the key. That's the key right there, is being mindful. Being mindful, think about what you're thinking about. Think about why you do what you do. Think about why you feel, cause and effect. Why do you feel the way you do? If you're not mindful, you can throw all this away and you can keep working out of your habit of who you are or who you become, because you'll never change. The only way you can change is to be mindful. So you're probably wondering, how does this relate to motocross or supercross? It has everything to do with it, because you have to have the right mind to go out and finish in the top 10. You have to have the right mind to go chase a national across the country with lots of different storms in your life and lots of different ups and downs. It's a brutal world. That's a brutal world. And those guys experience that. Any one of these guys that's reached this privateer life or privateer level can go anywhere to a local race or regional race in the country and dominate. These guys are fast. But you guys are, and I'm not explaining anything that you don't already know, you're up against the fastest in the world. When you show up at a national, you're up at that moment in time, you're up against the 40 fastest guys in the world. Think about that. Out of all the riders in the world, you're up against the top 40 fastest guys in the world. Same with Supercross. You're up against the top 20 fastest guys or girls. I can't leave the girls out. There's girls out there traveling the country just as much as the guys are. But you're going up against the best. So if you're going up against the best, you have to be the best at these things. Because you can have all the nutrition in the world, your nutrition's on point, your cardio's on point, your workout program's on point, you're practicing, but it will all fall apart right here. This right here is what makes champions. There's guys out there that are great at it. And when you roll up to that gate, you also need to be great at it. When you roll up to that gate and you got factory riders on both sides of you, and you have that confidence issue kind of knocking it, raising its ugly head, you've got to conquer that. There is no way you're going to finish where you want if your confidence is knocking at your door. You have to be a master at this. You have to master your thoughts. If you want to change your racing life, you have to change your thinking. If you want to change your life, you have to change your thinking. Because again, remember, we're working out of our mapping. You're showing up at a national at the gate in A1, Anaheim 1, with mapping that came out of Denver, Colorado. Well, that's how we are with our thinking. If you show up to the gate with those same feelings that are self-sabotaging, how do you expect to make it happen? Maybe by chance, maybe by accident, maybe by a lot of luck, but we don't want to operate like that. We want to roll up to that gate And when that gate drops, you want to be up there in the pack, not holding back and saying, well, I don't want to get in the way of the factory guys. You want to be up in there, man. You're just as good as they are. You were born a winner. You were born. When you were born, all of these things have not happened yet. When you were born, you were the opposite of all these things. You weren't discouraged. You were encouraged when you were born. You weren't non-trusting when you were born. You were trusting when you were born. You didn't have unbelief when you were born. You had belief. You weren't worthless when you were born. You made yourself that way. All of these things developed into your mapping through your childhood influences. And that's not to be upset or have regret about your influences. Come on, that's the past. What I'm talking about is the future. I'm talking about turning your reality as an adult into something beautiful. Turning that privateer life when you're 19, 20, 23, 28 years old. I'm talking about making things happen. I'm talking about, doing something you've never done before. Being the best you can be. And it all happens right here. Okay? All of this stuff, your dad leaving, your mom leaving, your dad not trusting, your mom not trusting, your mom and dad weren't encouraging, your mom and dad, whatever, It could have been the opposite of all that. Let me tell you something about that. That is all the past. We have to live in the present. The subconscious mind, it doesn't know past, present, or future. The conscious mind does. Right now you're thinking about the past. Subconscious mind don't do that. Okay? So you have to fill the large part of you, the thing where things become natural. You have to fill it with the right ingredients, right? With the right mixture, with the right programming, with the right mapping. But you do not fill this, your ECM, with the right mapping if you're thinking about crap. But why are you thinking about crap? You're thinking about crap because of all this influence that's programmed your mapping, because you do it naturally. So I cannot stress this enough. Mindful. When you look at the Bible, I don't know, some of you may be spiritual, some of you may not be spiritual, some of you may be Christians, some of you may not be Christians. But when you look at the Bible and Scripture, it uses the word mindful all over in it. Why? Because it's talking about this. If you're not mindful of your thoughts, and right now you're thinking about something that happened to you in the past, maybe last weekend's race didn't go well, is it helping you or hurting you? Simplify. You've got to simplify. Chayton, did you go to that Leonard Skinner concert? Mm-hmm. Did they sing Simple Man?
Yeah.
That's an awesome song, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to simplify. Is it helping you or is it hurting you? Are you confident or are you not? Are you trusting or are you non-trusting? If you're the opposite of all those things that are good, what are you doing to fix it? You got two choices. You're either happy or you're sad. If you're sad, why? If you're either committed or you're uncommitted. Why are you uncommitted? So that's being mindful. You're thinking about what you're thinking about. If you always have this struggle when you're out there racing, if there's just something that always bothers you, but if you're not mindful about it and you don't begin to think about it, then how do you ever reprogram you? How do you ever be the best you? Do not conform to the world, but be renewed by the transforming of your mind. Renew your thinking. It all happens with your thinking. And those champions are awesome thinkers. Those top 5 riders are awesome thinkers. Those top 10 riders are awesome thinkers. Privateers are awesome riders. But again, they're going up against the 40 fastest riders in the world. On the fastest bikes in the world. On the best equipment in the world. With the best trainers in the world. You have got to be your best. You've got to be who you were when you were born. You were born a winner. You can do all things. You have to speak who you are. You have to question who you're hanging out with. You got to question who your influences are. Because are your influences still, as you're an adult, are you still feeding your ECM junk? Or are you renewing yourself and being the best you by thinking about what you're thinking about, right? That happens up here in your conscience side, your conscience mind. So we can't look back on the past and be upset of who didn't do something right, or or that's not what I'm saying. I'm not wanting you to look back on your past and be depressed. I'm wanting you to understand why you are the way you are and why you do what you do, why I do what I do. I know what I struggle with. I see my influences struggle with the same thing that I learned from. But do I just keep going through life struggling with them? Or do I become mindful? Be you. Be the unique you. Don't be your mom. Don't be your dad. Don't be your brother. Don't be your cousin. Don't be whoever. Be you. Be the unique you. And you can't be that unless you're mindful. So this is mindful part 2. This is, we're all about privateers. We're about motocross, supercross racing. And, we want to tap into the mind side of it. And we want you to challenge yourself. Challenge what you're thinking. What are you thinking about right now? When you get up in the morning, what do you think about? Challenge what you're thinking about. Start developing that winner thinking. So anyway, thanks for being a part of Faith Culture. This video will be on Facebook, the full video, as well as our YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys watching. And Chayton, thanks a lot for your help, bud. Mm-hmm. You got anything to say?
No.
Everything's cool in your world?
Mm-hmm.
All right.